Rarely do the Browns get a laugher, but whoa, they did this past Sunday, and we're going to break it down on film because it's much more fun to watch a blowout on film. Tony Camino, who did a great job with this every day, every week. I shouldn't say every day. Maybe he does it every day. He does it every week. There, I'm Andy Billman here. Check out his wonderful work on BelievingTheLand.com. Tony, a rare laugher for the Browns.
Yeah, it's one of those games where we were saying all week, man, this is going to be a blowout. This is going to be a blowout. Like, what could go wrong? And it's still a football team, but like that game went how we expected it to, but that
Yep.
usually isn't the case. In a game they needed to win, kudos to them for going out and taking care of the business.
Yes, they did. One of the great things in this game that we needed to see, Tony, that we finally saw was the regained arm strength and deep pass, which the Browns have not had this year. They found it on Sunday, and this is one of their bigger plays here with Cooper coming from Watson.
Yeah, we saw when he tried to play in that Colts game, that interception that actually got caught. Clearly, it was just the shoulder wasn't ready.
Right.
There wasn't enough zip, as everyone's been saying, but arm strength, there wasn't enough on it. So here, early in the game, we saw that that's not the case anymore. So they ran this flood concept, which all that means is every route is flooding to the same side of the field, and the Browns do that a lot. It's one of the more simple concepts they have, and what that does is that it usually isolates a defender. So you see Cooper, this defender in blue is isolated, and he's really got to decide, is he going to stick closer to Njoku, stick closer to Cooper? And Watson's reading him, and whoever he commits to, he then throws opposite. So you see right here, he's releasing the football, and the defender back there is clearly taking away Njoku's route, leaving more room to the sideline if Watson puts it there, and he puts it almost right on the sideline. The back safety couldn't help, and the other defender guarding Njoku couldn't get back and recover in time. So it's just nice to see a quarterback in real time process this kind of information and make the right decisions and have a play that was gained more yards than the Cardinals gained all day.
Yeah, if people want to question Deshaun Watson with some other things when it comes to like his short game, I can understand that. Here's definitely some things he needs to work out here. Well, you can't question anymore, Tony, about his arm strength. It's back. I mean,
Yeah.
it's more than back. He looked really, really good when it comes to deep passes in this game.
Yeah, he did. It was really nice to see it, not even just the strength, but the accuracy with which he was throwing. Like almost all of those deep passes were just right where they needed to be with great timing and just stuff we hadn't been seeing with PJ at quarterback.
Yeah, and I mean, nothing against Mr. Walker. He did a nice job, but it's clear when it comes to arm strength, there is only one Deshaun Watson. I think Watson after this game, Tony. Again, I thought the game he was great. It was great to play against the Cardinals. His mental health really gets back. I see some things to work on, but I thought after this game, especially after the one that went off the helmet from Cooper, I thought we saw Watson finally take a breath and settle down in
Yeah,
this
I
game.
would agree. In that one, I mean, that was total turn of the fortune. We had a ball hit off a helmet and land in the other team's hands, and so it was only the world rewarding us and bouncing off the helmet and landing in our hands. Now, I wish we would have gotten that Seahawks one and not this one, but
Right. Hey,
not always fair.
it's not always fair, but what is fair is Denzel Ward is one of the best cornerbacks in the league. And it wasn't talked about a lot because there were so many other things in this game. This was an incredible play by Ward.
Yeah, this is just nobody. It's not. He's not getting the credit as much, but he's playing really at an All-Pro level.
Hmm.
Him and Martin Emerson have been great. Even Greg Newsome and even Cam Mitchell, who's out now, but he stepped in and played well.
Yeah.
But Denzel Ward, the ability to do this is what makes him special. So the Cardinals are 3-by-1, just three receivers to one side, one to the other. And when you see a split like this with the receiver so far down on the bottom of the screen, usually what you're trying to do is get that guy the ball. Like that's probably your best playmaker, and it is. That's Marquise Brown down there. So their best player. There's not really any help. The safety, I believe, that's Thornhill is. I mean, he can help him if he gets beat deep, but anything underneath, that's all Ward. And so
Yep.
you could see early, Brown's just running a slant, and Ward does a really good job getting his hands on him early, so he can stop that backwards momentum. So that when he goes to break off, he's not gonna feel as much of like a drastic change in space. Because if you're driving him back and then splitting off, well, then your momentum's taking you backwards, and it's harder to
Right.
come back and recover. So he gets his hands on him, slows his momentum down, and instantly feels when he's got his hand on him what route's coming, and he completely changes his leverage and wins and basically runs the route for him. And at this point for Clayton Tune, when he's running a slant and the guy who is lined up head over him ends up inside, I know you're just trusting your playmakers here, but this is just textbook man coverage. And a really good pass breakup when he was truly on an island out there.
Yeah, I mean, we forget sometimes because of the playmakers we have on the defensive line. I put this in an article earlier this year. Really, Denzel Ward is having his best year, and that's not easy to say. He's had a lot of good years for the Browns, but he is playing at all-time level. And look, I don't think this needs to be disputed anymore. The Browns certainly have an eye for picking out cornerbacks. It's very, very obvious on this team. They have multiple cornerbacks who play at a big level.
Yeah, they really do. And it's that game, like I said, it's unfortunate that Cam Mitchell got hurt because he looked comfortable. You don't really see many rookies, and he wasn't even a very high pick, but rookies come
Right.
in and play and look as comfortably as he did. It's a good sign for the future, and what the ability to play man coverage on the back end really complements what we do up front. And so when you put the pass rush along with the ability to play man coverage in the back end, it's a really good defensive combination, and you're seeing the results this year.
Yeah, a big part of the Browns' success is they have playmakers who can go off on islands, and a lot of teams do not have that. And that's, I mean, it's why they have success. And honestly, another guy who's, I mean, JOK is having a big year. I think Anthony Walker is. Taki is too. I mean, Taki again is very, very steady. He brings his lunch pail and always gets plays done, as he did on this play here too.
Yeah, this is just him making a good play, using his athleticism. You'd like the technique to be a little bit better, but you can't get picky when he gets the interception. So running back's going to the flat, and then the wide receiver all the way to the bottom is just running Ward off to get him out of the way. And the tight end's running a sail route at around the 30. So it's similar to the throw that Deshaun made earlier. A lot of teams do this, keep it simple. Tune is really just reading Taki and kind of making a decision off of him, and he kind of makes the wrong read because this is 1st and 10, so
Right.
probably the check down's the right read. But I understand this was later in the game, so they kind of needed to push the issue and get the ball downfield. Ideally, right here, Taki would already have his back turned to the near sideline and be ready to undercut the route that he ended up picking off. But he's still in a really good position here to break down on the underneath route and still play the back one. Nonetheless, he still turns his hips in time and sinks to make a really good play and get the ball back for another one of these turnovers that we had three of them again. So good play from Taki. Would like the technique to be a little cleaner, and maybe we're not always going to get bad reads from the quarterback, but you got to make the plays that are given to you, and that was a good job from Taki playing his zone almost to perfection there.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would say about Clayton Tune is it's the young man only. This is only his first game, and clearly
Yeah.
he was overwhelmed.
hmm
There's just nothing else to say. He was. But as Tony hinted, when you have mistakes, you have to take advantage of them. And I do think at times earlier this year, Tony, there's probably been some turnovers that were left on the field. There weren't in this game. The Browns made sure to get the turnovers, which is good to see. They got to tighten that up a little bit. They've left some turnovers on the field times this year. It was good to see them finally squeeze the ball and get it to the offense.
Yeah, and those are gonna be big plays. Our defense is a huge part of the success, obviously. So when those balls are loose and there's a tipped ball in the air or there's a stripped sack bouncing around, you just got to come up with it. And we saw how in the Seahawks game, a drop pick six can ultimately change the whole game. So when they're giving you the layups, you got to make them.
Got to take the layups is right. All right, what do we see on this play?
So again, if you really similar to the last one, they're flooding the same side of the field yet again. Nick Harris, favorite fullback, who's really just a backup center. He's in the game, pass blocking, but he's in there all the time. If you really paying attention, Nick Harris is always in the game.
He's in
But
there a
they're
lot.
just Tillman's all the way at the top, just running him off, and Cooper's running to the sideline. So it's the same sort of thing.
Mhm.
Cooper's running a double move here, kind of to get the Browns out of their tendency because they've been running that flood a lot. But the Cardinals actually cover this one up really well, and this was the play right after Taki's interception. So you could see as he goes to throw this ball, I mean, the safety's right there, right where that red circle is, and then you see the other one circled in red. That's really good anticipation to be able to throw
Yep.
and fit this into Cooper here. And it's not a lot of a throw that a lot of quarterbacks can make. He put it, you talk about timing, anticipation, accuracy, which is really the three most important parts of playing quarterback. The arm strength, the athleticism, that's all a bonus. But if you can't throw with timing, throw with anticipation, and throw with accuracy, you're going to struggle. He checked all three of these boxes on this throw, and really textbook play from Deshaun and Cooper, who look like they're going to be the go-to duo for us and really carry this offense. But that's kind of stuff is, if we didn't have this masterful throw coming up after, easily would have been a throw more so of the ability to anticipate where he's going to be despite him being bracketed by two defenders and still fit it in. So just really inspiring stuff to see.
Yeah, let's go to the next play. I want to go back on Cooper there for a second because there's no doubt they have a special relationship. Here's the last play that you were kind of referencing before.
Yeah, so a lot of us heard it on the broadcast and they talked about it after the game. This big play to Cooper at the end was kind of something they drew up based off of a pressure they were seeing. And earlier in the game, so what the safety circled, I believe it's Buda Baker on the Cardinals, he would be showing pressure. And then whenever Cooper's two aside by himself, he would show pressure, but then bail out and defend him. So what happened
Mhm.
on an earlier play is Cooper, they did this look to him, and Cooper was running straight, and you saw him stick his hand up because they weren't really reacting to him breaking one way or like going straight. They were really just waiting on him to cut in or cut out. He noticed that if he just kept running straight, that they weren't going to really react to it because
Oh,
you double team a defender more times than not. You're thinking a quarterback's just gonna okay. You look up two defenders, move on to your next read.
right.
He saw the one time that he didn't throw it. Hey, I can just run right through this, and they're not going to react to it. So Deshaun, we saw him make the check, got everybody in line, and this is just. I mean, they're all going deep here. This is three verts because we're not running the fourth one. But Buda Baker drops back and gets you that bracketed look that we've been seeing. And I mean, this is what he goes to throw the ball, and that's the coverage. I mean, that's not really what you want to be throwing into,
Right.
but he knew that the two defenders were only going to really react to Cooper if he broke inside or outside. He just kept going straight through it.
Hmm.
Now, this takes a really good ball, but Cooper said it. That's probably the best deep ball he's ever caught in his life. Like, hit him right in stride, hit him right where
Yeah.
he had to be. And they're not, for as close as they are, I mean, they're not really close to him for having two defenders there. So, really good to see your star receiver, star quarterback notice something like that, the coach giving him the freedom to run it out. And then, I mean, you got to execute because when you're throwing in double coverage like this, if you don't execute, you're going to get an earful from the coach. But they pulled it off, and that was a really pretty throw and catch.
Yeah, the one thing that's being very apparent is the Watson um, Cooper connection is there, and it's real. And in fact, Cooper this year has proven to me more and more he is an elite receiver. He's not the fastest, he is not the most flashy, but my gosh, guy makes plays every game. And it's great to see it. And, the thing is, Tony, maybe it's time for the Browns to start exploiting this matchup more when it comes to 50 yards plus. Because in this game, I mean, you just made an example. One of them was just every day it was open. That second one was very tough, and he made the play. And Buda Baker's a good player.
Yeah.
My gosh, that guy, he's a very good player for the Cardinals. So it just tells you Watson is getting closer, and we hate using that phrase, but it's time to exploit the deep game, right? I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
time to
That's
exploit it.
always been his strength. It's always been what he's the best at. If you look at his numbers, they always tell you that his time to throw is super long because he's always either extending plays or taking the big shots downfield. That's what he's great at, and we saw it here. And I know that this wasn't a good Cardinals team, but they have some real talent in their
Yeah,
secondary. That's Buda Baker and Jalen Thompson as a safety duo. I mean, it doesn't get a whole lot better than that. So I know they're going to face a lot harder pass rush this week, and no tackles hurts. But it's not like he was sitting back there dicing up a JV level secondary. This was a
I agree.
talented secondary. He had a clean pocket nonetheless, but he was throwing against good defenders and making great throws, and a lot of times they were well defended, just better offense.
I think Njoku's number two. I think there's going to be a point where they're going to hopefully develop one more.
Hmm.
But Cooper's by far number one. He's his go-to guy. Deshaun's got to work on the short and medium range passes. That's where he's not as effective. But again, play to your strengths. If his strength is downfield, there's nothing wrong with that. Go downfield and play to the strength. I think that it's weird. Most quarterbacks need the opposite: short, short, short. Boy, Deshaun, I would let him rip. I
Yeah.
mean, he's a lot more comfortable, ironically, 50 yards an out. Check out Tony's article and all of his film reviews on BelieveInLand.com. We will be here for Ravens week, which will be the very next video up here on the YouTube page, breaking down the big game against the Ravens coming up. This is a fun one. You don't get many of these. The 27-0, fun burger against the
Hmm.
Cardinals. Again, Tony there. I'm Andy here. We'll see you all leading up to the Ravens game this week.